Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom. This is a podcast where we sit down with a big bowl of sugary cereal and watch everything for cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
This morning, we watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit? So pre-warning for anybody who hasn't seen this movie that came out in 1988 and you want to see it before we spoil it for you, listen to some of this episode, but not all of the episode. And or go watch the movie, then come back and listen to it. Either way, please listen to it. But also, please watch the movie.
And also let us know how you managed to not see it yet. Like, that's what I want to know if you haven't seen it. That's odd. Okay.
Yeah, the odds, I would assume, are pretty slim, but I'll bet there's people out there who have never seen it. Or like, what if there's people who have never even heard of it? They're like, what's that?
What?
Yeah.
How have you never? Oh, God. Have you never had a childhood?
Yeah, that would be disturbing.
Well, maybe some people are still in the midst of their childhood.
Oh, what if people are still childs?
Oh, God.
Still children.
What if they're just being born right now?
Then they might not have heard of it or seen it.
I know. Shame on the parents.
So I feel bad now for excluding that demographic, just born children.
The childs.
So just born children, just born childs who are listening to this, please go watch that movie.
Yes, all infants.
With your parents' permission. It's PG-13, so you may want to wait a few years, but either way, check it out.
And this was suggested to us by Mike Root via YouTube, so thank you, Mike. And this was voted all the way to the top of the list that we finally got back to after several weeks off. So, yay!
Yeah. Well, so thanks for suggesting this, first of all, Mike. And second of all, I'm surprised it didn't come up to the list faster than it did.
It's definitely one of those like ones that is very beloved by many people.
So the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out in 1988, based on Who Censored Roger Rabbit by Gary K. Wolfe, and it's loosely based on that. And I don't know much about the source material, so I can't really speak much to it. I know at one point, Baby Herman was killed in the book, and a doppelganger came out and helped Eddie Valiant solve the case or something.
What?
There's a lot of weirdness to it that I'm glad they excluded, because it sounds like would have gotten really muddy in there.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah. I don't know what else there is to it, but the screenplay was written by Jeffrey Price and Peter S. Seaman. Yep. Directed by Rob Zemeckis. Produced by Touchstone Pictures and Amblin Entertainment. For short synopsis, written by our old friend who we haven't heard from in a while, Kenneth Chisholm.
Oh, Kenneth.
Toon-hating detective is a cartoon rabbit's only hope to prove his innocence when he is accused of murder.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
Kenneth gets straight to the point. That's why I missed his reviews.
I've been wondering where Kenneth has been, and he must have taken some time off like we did.
He needs a break, too. He was writing every episode that we did up to this point.
Yeah, he needs to eventually, you got to reboot him, and you got to flush his cache files and all that good stuff, run a few antivirus programs to get him working again.
So who are some of the actors who played in this movie?
So there's so many characters, but I'm just going to stick with the main ones for this film. Detective Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins, which I love Bob Hoskins, man. He gives me hope because you see him in this movie without a shirt. You can see the fat rolls. You can see that he almost has as much back hair as I do. So if he can get on TV, he's paving the way for me. Like him, people like him and Danny DeVito are really doing the Lord's work when it comes to my future.
Bob Hoskins was all about body positivity before it was even a thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big fan of him. Judge Doom, played by Christopher Lloyd. Again, another person everybody's got to be familiar with. Back to the Future. All I guess you know who he is. I'm not even gonna bother. The character of Dolores, played by Joanna Cassidy. So for those that might not be familiar with what this is, those three are live action, like human beings. And there's cartoon peoples too. That's coming next. Roger Rabbit, voiced by Charles Fleischer, and Jessica Rabbit, voiced by Kathleen Turner. So yeah, there's the premise of this movie that it's live action and cartoons combined into one story. That's the word I lost for a minute.
One thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got there and I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when we were watching this movie, or when I was watching this movie last night, I was kind of reminiscing about Bob Hoskins movies, or just some of my favorites. And I was like, it makes me want to rewatch Super Mario Brother movie. As bad as a movie as that is, it's so campy that I love it.
I thought about it too, and I'm afraid to do it. I'm seriously afraid to watch it again. But
if you don't want to go there, then at least go back to Hook, where he is
he's Smee. I got very confused at the job that I have right now. They use a term called Smee all the time. And for the first year, I was so confused because I thought they were talking about that pirate. Turns out it stands for subject matter expert.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe Bob Hoskins' character in there was a subject matter expert, the subject being pirate's assistant.
Yeah, till I figured out what it really stood for, I think there was probably a lot of very confusing emails from me that people around this organization received talking about pirates and stuff. So a formal apology to any of them. I was very confused.
So, for a few tasty marshmallows of our big bowl of Roger Rabbit cereal, the 3 ingredients of the dip that kills toons are turpentine, acetone, and benzene, and which are all paint thinners that are used to remove animation from cells.
And found in muscle milk, if you've ever tasted that.
I have.
Well, then obviously you're not a toon.
The movie marked the first and so far only time cartoon characters from Walt Disney and Warner Brothers appeared together on screen, most notably Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse parachuting together.
That was a great scene. That was a great scene. I never in my life have wanted to sound clip Mickey Mouse saying something more than when he talked about that could get you killed. That and his voice with his like little nervous laugh is the greatest thing I've ever heard, and I want that on my phone at all times.
Bugs and Mickey were on screen together about equal time, and then they had Daffy and Donald Duck on screen together for about equal time, and they had to do that contractually to use these characters. Like, they had to give them equal time on screen as the other characters just to stick with the contract. They made it work. It's a weird request, but I guess it makes sense for both studios to be like, no, I don't want. It's almost like the Superman Flash race where they have to tie. They can't. No one can get more attention.
So, yeah, I can kind of get that because they don't want the movie to look like it's leaning towards one studio over the other. And both of those scenes are extremely memorable scenes, and I loved them.
Oh yeah,
they were just classic standout scenes. Like, when I think of this movie, that's usually the two scenes that come to mind.
Mm-hmm. The Daffy Duck Donald piano playoff thing that is accompanied by the Jessica Rabbit appearance, which is also a very memorable scene.
Oh yeah.
So Judge Doom picks up a record and reads its label. The merry-go-round broke down. And then he says, quite a loony selection for a bunch of drunken retrobates. Now, the song Merry-Go-Round Broke Down is a familiar theme song of the Looney Tunes cartoons. Anytime you see the intro to the Looney Tunes cartoon, that's what that song is. So,
oh, okay. I did not. I figured it had to do with that. I just didn't know for sure.
This film won 3 Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Best Sound Effects Editing, and Best Visual Effects, and received a Special Achievement Academy Award for its animation direction by Williams. In 2016, the film was selected for the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. So this film is definitely in high regards. It's still a masterpiece.
It is basically a matter of national security. Like this, if ever we know we're going to be annihilated by like nuclear holocaust, this movie will go into a time capsule. Our descendants will find this. This is how they will understand how our world existed before them.
I'm just hoping if aliens invade and take over, this movie is something they grab as part of their teachings. And so they try to understand our culture by usage of that movie. And they're going to be very confused when they get down here and there's no animated creatures crawling around freely.
Yeah, not anymore.
So the film's title, and this is something I learned and I kind of fell down a rabbit hole with it. Although the film's title is a question, no question mark appears in the title, as this is considered bad luck in the industry. And I was like, really?
What?
I never noticed that. Like, I always thought there was a question mark. And then I was looking around and like, nope, no question mark. And then I was like, well, what else is a question? It's a title of a movie. And I was like, okay, what's eating Gilbert Grape? And I looked that up. And there's no question mark in that either. So I guess that really is a thing, just not adding a question mark to these questions.
Why is that?
Anytime I've ever mentioned this movie, I've always put a question mark in it. And I never knew.
Yeah, same here. I don't get it. Why is that? Oh, I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm sure it started somewhere, but yeah, it's considered bad luck in the industry. So no question marks in movie titles.
Got it.
So what is your familiarity with this movie prior to us rewatching it?
Oh, man. I mean, I definitely saw it as a kid, and there was things I liked about it. But I'm going to be honest. For the most part, I didn't like this movie as a kid, which make them as a surprise. And I mean, my viewpoints on some things definitely differ from being an adult than being a kid. I think just because there's so many jokes that kind of went over my head. And to be honest, as a child, Roger was one of the most annoying characters I'd ever seen. So I did not enjoy it that much, but I'd seen it a few times for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page as far as not understanding it when I was a kid or things going over my head, but I still enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it. And I think just because, I don't know, maybe I thought that I understood some of the jokes, but it was really just the slapstick comedy of Roger and the other cartoon characters that really kind of kept me in as a kid. But that said, I don't really think I mean, I know it's not for kids by any stretch of the imagination because it's really a mystery drama on the other end of it, tied with comedy elements from the cartoon characters. So it's not something I think a kid would necessarily enjoy, only because, like you said, there's not much they would get out of it.
Well, and there's also the appeal of seeing all those cartoon characters that you know from, well, I guess, our generation and older would know from, our mornings and stuff like that. I don't think you see probably as much. I could be wrong. I feel like maybe there's not as many Disney and Looney Tunes cartoons that are like fresh now, but I might be wrong. I don't know.
So let's just go ahead and jump into the movie just to set the stage. This is set in the 40s. You've got Disney, you've got Warner Brothers, and those are kind of coexisting together in this reality, in this universe. Hollywood is kind of adjacent to Toontown, and the Toons kind of freely cross over. We get to see that by the actual opening of the movie, which is the cartoon with Baby Herman and Roger Rabbit, where we're seeing them go through just the classic cartoon tropes, of Roger being set to babysit Baby Herman, and then he's after a cookie, and then Roger just has to protect him from all these dangerous things around him. Classic cartoon things. But then we see them like cut, and then it comes where it pulls out a bit and the backgrounds and stuff become reality. Roger and Baby Herman stay animated. And that's where we kind of remain for the rest of the film.
And I love that Baby Herman sounds like a 50-year-old like sailor, just super angry and cursing and all kinds of stuff and drinking and smoking cigars.
It's like those vampire tales where they're bitten as a child, but they're like hundreds of years old. So
Yeah.
Baby Herman is like a middle-aged man who smokes cigars, smokes stogies, stuck in a baby's body forever.
Exactly. I love the idea of it. So what kind of sets the stage for what this is going to be is like Roger messed up a line, which is why they had to cut. We see the guy that owns the studio that Roger is working in right now, which is Maroon Studios. The main guy, who's for whatever reason I can't remember his name all of a sudden, the guy running the studio has hired Detective Valiant, basically saying, there's rumors in the paper that Roger's wife is messing around on him and it is affecting his performance. It's going to cost me money. I need you to, get proof that it's happening so we can kind of like get this thing done and over with and he can move on so we can keep making money. And Valiant is, he's constantly drinking. He hates tunes, as he says. And you can see that like while they're having a conversation, like little Dumbo, like flies up to the window and it scares the crap out of Valiant, who kind of sort of dove under the desk, which was weird. But like, it's interesting because it's definitely one of those noir stories where like everybody seems to be a little bit on the bad side. Like nobody's quite, a knight in shining armor in that way. Like everybody's kind of dirty.
Yeah, nobody's on the straight and narrow.
Yes, good way to say it. That's a 1940s way to say it. Thank you. And just to kind of as an example, like the guy that runs Maroon Studios is like upfront about how he's kind of like, not abusing the tunes, but kind of using them. Like he's like, they literally work for peanuts, and he gives Dumbo some peanuts and stuff. Like he wants to get what money he can out of them. And it's like, I can't get money out of Roger if he's messing up his lines. So we need to figure this crap out.
Yeah, and at first Eddie refuses, like he doesn't want to do it, but he's like you said, an alcoholic at this point and really broke, hasn't had a good case in a while. So he offers him $100. Well, $100 in 40s money, which is probably a lot. I don't know what the calculation is. And so it's kind of like an offer he can't refuse, because otherwise he's going to get kind of kicked out of his office, which seconds as his home.
Yeah. I love his office too. I like the whole style of this movie. I love the 40s noir detective kind of thing, and they do it extremely well.
I really like his Murphy bed too. It's like a fake filing cabinet that his bed pops out of.
That was cool because I remember being a kid, I always wanted one of those because I just thought that was such a cool idea. Like, I mean, it'd be stupid, but yeah.
I still want one of those.
I mean, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Way to take it back.
I tried. So we kind of figure out, well, Valiant, he kind of has to take on the job because he doesn't have any money. He's going to have to do it. He goes to this nightclub. And I like that the password to get in this club was Walt sent me, which was pretty cool. Like, you know, a little nod to Walt Disney.
Yeah.
He gets in there. I love the little penguins walking around serving drinks. That's where we see the Daffy Duck and Donald Duck are having a piano duel and just beating the crap out of each other and everything. They get kicked off the stage. There's that funny moment where Betty Boop is there and she's kind of like serving alcohol and stuff like that, bussing tables and stuff inside this nightclub. And they make it seem like her and Valiant may have had some sort of past together because of the brief exchange there. And I was, because he's so mean to all the other tunes, but with Betty, he's just kind of sweet in a way, you know?
Yeah. He's like, what are you doing working here? And she's like, well, basically ever since they added color, you know, she hasn't had much work, but she's like, but I still got it, right? And he agrees with her. So yeah, there was definitely some kind of relationship there, if not like an actual relationship of any kind. They were at least close.
Yeah, and that was kind of funny because all the other cartoons are drawn in color, and yeah, she's still black and white, or like grayscale basically. So he sees Mr. Acme there. Mr. Acme owns Toontown.
He's also the master of gags.
He is the master of gags. I'm assuming it's an ode to, like, you know, all those cartoons. You always see Acme on like all of this stuff, especially like Looney Tunes and stuff. It's always, everything comes from Acme. So yeah,
like all the anvils, all the pianos, anything that gets dropped on anybody's head starts in an Acme box.
So it makes sense that they used him, and I love that, and they called him the master of gags. But he is obsessed with Jessica Rabbit, who is Roger's wife, and she has she sings at this club, and that's where they are. And when Jessica first comes out, like the look on Valiant's face is hilarious. And at one part, Betty has to come over and like close his jaw for him.
Yeah, it drops to the floor basically. Because he thinks that she's going to be an actual rabbit. Like, he doesn't know. Everybody's gathering around the stage and everything before she comes out. And he's like, what's the big deal? Like, he's assuming Roger Rabbit being who he is, his wife's going to be someone, you know, another animated rabbit or something ridiculous like that. So that's where the surprise comes in, when it's just like this tall, slender woman.
Only slender in some areas.
I guess I don't even know how to describe her.
As hourglass shaped as you can get, I think. Yeah, it's
almost like the way that they used to draw females in 90s comics.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, her boobs are huge. Well, that's probably the easiest way to say it. Her boobs are gigantic. I mean, and they're kind of used as like a gag every once in a while through the movie because like of the size of them and stuff, of people hitting their heads on them and stuff, which actually happens to Valiant several times. He hits his head on her boobs. Oh,
I love it. I mean, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but I don't know that we'll mention this scene specifically where Valiant's girlfriend, Dolores, or I guess that's his girlfriend.
Kind of, sort of. They just have, like, I think an unspoken thing because they used to date.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. So Jessica Rabbit walks into Valiant's office to try to get some help with proving Roger's innocence. And Valiant doesn't have a shirt on. He's coming out of the restroom. And Dolores walks in on them when Jessica's like about to kiss him or kissing him or something. And then his pants fall down. And it's just like the most awkward moment.
Definitely. How many do you think, how many boys hit puberty watching this movie for the first time?
I think I hit puberty a second time watching this movie again.
Yeah, this was, I think this ushered in like a new era for how little boys see cartoons.
Well, it's like it gives you conflicted feelings because you're like, I know it's just a cartoon.
But, I mean, very quickly infatuated in a way, and he understands Acme's obsession with her. But he's there to basically, still prove that there's something going on with her. So he snoops around later through a window in the club, and he catches Mr. Acme trying to convince Jessica to play patty cake, wink, wink, which she reluctantly does. And Valiant gets pictures of it. They actually are playing patty cake. That's
so
the
no
gag.
Winking.
But it sure doesn't sound like patty cake based on the noises they had Jessica making. But like it was obviously supposed to be like you think it's gonna be the one thing, but it honestly is just playing a game of patty cake.
Yeah, I like Eddie's response to it. He's just like, "You got to be kidding me."
Yeah. When Roger sees those pictures, he's heartbroken. He's just like, I can't believe she would play patty cake with another man.
There's so much like deception in this movie, and there's so many sides to it. Like even past the main mystery of who frames Roger Rabbit, like there's so many other elements to it of like, well, this person wanted this, and this person wanted this. And like there's all these different setups that led to this ultimate framing of Roger.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what a good noir story is.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when it comes to, well, he was framed, but for what? So once Roger finds out what's going on, he gets upset, he leaves. And then the next day they find out Mr. Acme's been murdered. Took a, was that a safe to the head? Like a Wile E. Coyote would or something. Took a safe to the head. Humans don't bounce back the same way. Well, obviously people think Roger did it, but this stirs up feelings for Valiant because his brother, who the original detective agency was not just him, it was Valiant and Valiant, him and his brother, and Dolores was kind of their secretary. And so the Valiant we know and Dolores kind of had a thing during that time, and it's pretty clear that once his brother died, he spiraled down a dark path. Dolores left and opened a bar instead, which is what she does now. But, they still have some feelings for each other. But, I mean, it's the reason that he's into depression and he's always drinking and he hates toons because he does know that his brother was killed by a toon. He specifically remembers the high-pitched voice and the red eyes, but he didn't get a good enough look at him to know anything else about him, but it's why he hates toons. And
he was killed in a similar way where I think a piano was dropped on him.
What's interesting too is this is about the time that we kind of get clued in as to what happened to his brother, and we see in his office that his brother's stuff is still there on his desk. So the desk is still intact. Some of his brother's items are still there and just covered in dust and cobwebs and stuff. Did you catch the two newspaper headlines that were on the desk? Because those made me laugh.
I've seen them before, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
One of them said something about Goofy being cleared of like spying on somebody or like peeping on someone. The second newspaper was something about like a kidnapping plot was foiled or the kids were returned, and it turns out it was Huey, Dewey, and Louie being returned to Donald Duck, and I thought that was pretty
awesome.
funny. Yeah. So it's like not only did his brother die, I mean, they used to, Toontown was their beat. That's where they used to work. They were detectives for hire, mostly in Toontown, and then all of that changed.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of recognition that Eddie gets throughout the movie from Toons reluctantly.
And so he goes to the crime scene where Acme was killed. And he's kind of taking a look around, and that's where we get introduced to Judge Doom, who comes in. He's just this creepy as all heck judge. And he also has a bunch of cartoon weasels working for him. And the weasels are my favorites. They crack me up, dude. I love them.
I love the weasels. And originally there were supposed to be 7 of them, like the 7 dwarves, but I get they eventually just went with like 4 or 5. I think
it was 5. Yeah. 7 might be a little much. It was great though. And then we get to see the judge's his weapon basically, which is the stuff he called dip that Joseph talked about at the beginning of the episode, and it kills toons. It's the only thing they know of that kills toons. This disturbed the heck out of me as a kid, as when he takes that little cartoon shoe and drops it in the dip and it just melts. And when he takes the glove out and the like ink color is just running all over his hand and stuff. God, that was creepy to me.
No, it's just so sad, even now, because that little shoe, it was so cute, and it was kind of rubbing up against his leg like a dog or a cat would.
Yeah.
And then he just grabs that cute little shoe and melts it. And you can see like the fear in the shoe's eyes, as weird as it is to say.
Yeah, Rochelle was like, honestly, like sad. She was getting upset.
So
she was
was
like,
I.
No, it's
like,
too cute.
I knew it was going to happen, and I've seen this movie many times, but this time it just hit me extra hard to see that little shoe go. I'm hoping, for some reason, I'm just thinking like, no, not this time. Don't let it happen again.
This time it'll be different.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
He figures out pretty quickly. I mean, Valiant figures out that there's something not right about Judge Doom. Like something's not on the up and up. But he goes back to his place, and Baby Herman's waiting there, and basically Baby Herman's trying to stick up for Roger and say, hey, Roger couldn't have done it. I know him. He was my partner. I think somebody else killed Acme to get Toontown because Acme had a will and saying that he was going to leave Toontown to the Toons if he died, rather than like a sole proprietor of the area. So he thinks that somebody killed him because the will was never found.
Right. So that's a missing item, part of a classic noir tale.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that bit of info. So basically the story's getting a little bit thicker. Like, okay, there's more going on than this guy just getting killed out of revenge from Roger. And when he gets back into his apartment, it turns out Roger's sleeping in his bed while it's up in the wall. And Rogers,
right now he's on the run. He's trying to
on the
hide
run
from the judge and the weasels.
He wants protection, so he handcuffs himself to Valiant so that they can't be separated. So it's like, you're going to go down with me if you don't protect me, basically, which leads to all kinds of really funny scenes. I really liked the whole instance with when the weasels get in there and he like shoves Roger's head under the water while he's doing dishes.
Well, he's not even doing dishes. He's washing his dirty clothes.
Oh, yeah, he's washing his dirty clothes in his kitchen sink. It's just really gross.
There comes a point also where he needs to confront Maroon.
Jessica Rabbit shows up at some point, tells Valiant, hey, I'm innocent and so is my husband Roger. Maroon made me pose for those patty cake photos. Like, I was made to set Acme up because like she's like, I was told it was going to be used for blackmail. I didn't know someone was going to kill him. And she's kind of like, Maroon said if I didn't do it, he would end Roger's career. But Jessica's kind of like, she's definitely a femme fatale style. So it's like, can you trust her? We don't know.
Yeah,
we really
but
don't know.
She's not bad. She was just drawn that way.
Then he goes back to talk with Maroon to figure out, what the deal is. And as he's trying to figure stuff out, because I think as Maroon said that he's not trying to get Toontown. This business called Cloverleaf is trying to buy Toontown over him. And they had just bought this other thing too. It was like a trolley station or something. So Cloverleaf bought that place called the Red Car. He says they're trying to buy Toontown, but then somebody kills him, which I was like, oh, didn't see that coming. I mean, obviously I did because I'd seen it as a kid, but like I didn't remember that.
Part of the twist there is that Maroon was trying, he was doing all that he did. He set up things the way he did to protect the Toons because he didn't want Toontown to be bought out by Cloverleaf and anything bad to happen to the Toons that he's secretly protecting, because he's kind of painted to be like a bad, like nasty guy at first, but he had good intentions. But as he was revealing those, that's when he got shot.
Yeah, and the gun has a very specific look to it. We see the gun poke out from behind like a window and then shoot him a couple times. And when Valiant looks out to try to see who did it, he sees Jessica running. So I think he immediately thought it was her. In the meantime, like Jessica had knocked Roger out and put him in the trunk of a car because she's trying to just keep Roger safe. It's just, you don't know who to trust. So again, this is a great noir story.
Yeah, if you've never seen it, especially, like it's got to be so surprising. Like I can never relive that feeling of what I thought the first time I saw it, and I wish honestly I'd seen it later in life and not as a kid, because I know I didn't appreciate it as much back then, or I didn't like get it as much. But all the surprises I already kind of knew, or of course knew the direction it was going to be going, because you don't forget the last scenes of this movie, but I kind of wish I was able to just kind of wipe that so that I could be surprised and be part of this mystery again.
One thing I really liked was when Judge Doom and the Weasels came to the bar and they were all hiding out in the bar, like in this, almost like, it was basically a speakeasy where there was a secret room that Valiant and Roger were hiding behind. And I love the trick that Judge Doom does where he's like, no toon can resist the shave and a haircut trick. So he does the thing like, and he just keeps walking around doing it. And like you see Roger's like barely containing it. He's trying so hard not to, but then he busts out the wall and he's like, 2 bits. Oh man, that was good. That was a great scene.
So that's when Judge is about to execute him right then and there. But Eddie, having given him some whiskey earlier, saw Roger's reaction to it, which was like basically exploding, I guess, firing off like a rocket ship. And so he's like, well, at least let him have one last drink. And he has to use reverse psychology on him because Roger's refusing it at first. He's like, no, I don't want any. I don't want it. And then he's like, you do want it. And then they kind of reverse the roles where he ends up wanting it and taking it, fires him off like a rocket ship. So they're able to escape at that point. I think that's when they come across Benny the cab.
Yes, I love Benny. Benny's great. He's an animated taxi cab and he's taking him every way. And he acts just like the stereotypical angry cab driver you picture in Brooklyn. This is Benny, but he is the cab.
Yeah, complaining about everyone else is driving and
he's always yelling at people.
Right.
That was great. So then with Maroon gone, Cloverleaf is basically buying Toontown. Like they're going to buy it. So it's kind of like whatever Maroon did, it was kind of all for naught. Well, it turns out that Cloverleaf was actually owned by Judge Doom, who's been behind it all.
Yeah, but we don't know to what degree yet.
Yes.
They end up capturing Roger and Jessica at one point, and then Eddie has to come to the rescue. But this is kind of what sets the stage for the finale of the movie, where Judge has he reveals this giant machine he has, like basically this thing that almost looks like an old fire truck. Like it's just what would normally blast water has been set up with this giant tank to blast out the dip, things that destroys cartoons. And so his plan is to take it into Toontown and just basically wreck it, just destroy it all.
Yeah, he's going to kill every toon. Yeah.
To make way for a freeway, which is his new idea, which is why he's shutting down the red car, which is actually something that really happened in real life. Like the red car was like bought out and shut down in order to promote automobile purchases and to set stage for the freeway. Reality is tied into this to some degree. After doing that, like he's got, in classic like villain fashion, he's got Jessica and Roger like strung from a rope, and this cannon pointed at them to shoot them with dip first before he crashes into Toontown and destroys it. I like how Eddie then puts on like the vaudeville, dance routine or song.
It's because the Weasels, like throughout the show, anytime something happens and they start laughing, Doom yells at them and he alludes to, like, I guess one of them had died in the past from laughing themselves to death. So he keeps saying that, like, you're going to laugh yourselves to death. And he's like yelling at him. So yeah, then Eddie's like, I got an idea. And he starts doing this silly slapstick vaudeville act where he keeps getting himself injured and he's trying to sing and dance and flipping around everywhere, mostly just hurting himself. And it happens, the Weasels all laugh themselves to death, and I loved it.
The tie-in that kind of led to this was, it's a very small thing that I never had really noticed before, but in one of the pictures of Eddie and his brother, we see that he was raised in like a circus.
Yes. their father was a clown.
Yeah, exactly. And so it makes sense that he would know this routine. It wasn't just something that he randomly came up with. He just has that routine, at least semi-memorized from childhood. So I like that that kind of covered their bases there, and
Yeah.
not something that is ever pointed out. It's just a very small thing that I appreciated.
So the Weasels, which are like these like gangster style dudes, they're all dead.
The leader of them gets tossed in the dip by Eddie.
Oh yeah. They all die except the leader, who he gets thrown into the dip. Sucks for him. the little geyser of dip is slowly getting closer and closer to Jessica and Roger. And like throughout this whole final scene, which lasts quite a while, it keeps getting like knocked off track or shut off, but then resumes its course. So it goes back and forth, like I swear about 6 times, I think, to be honest. Then the thing comes with Doom where he gets in this big fight with Doom, who is definitely stronger than him. And so Valiant really just has to kind of outthink him. And he does it using some of the gag stuff that's laying around, like some of the Acme stuff. Like he uses a black hole to free himself when he gets caught for like a few seconds. He uses this crazy glue. And this, I don't remember how it happens, but there's a steamroller that's heading towards them.
Well, the steamroller is it's part of the thing that he has set up with the dip in it.
Got it. So he uses that glue and ends up gluing Judge Doom in place, and his hand gets glue on it and gets stuck to the steamroller. So he gets flattened by the steamroller. And everything that happens after this part horrified me as a kid. I will this is the stuff that I remember the most because like this was traumatizing, man. Ugh.
Yeah, even rewatching it, I'm like, man, this is kind of like, how did I feel about this as a child? Because the death scene, the quote unquote death scene where he is rolled over by the steamroller and flattened out. At this point, you assume he's just a human and it's literally killing him, and he's screaming as it's happening. So already horrifying enough.
Oh, there's so much screaming and screeching and the noises were awful.
And you see him start to like peel off the ground, and it's like, oh, even that's really horrifying to watch.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, this whole time. Like,
then he's walking and his voice goes to that high-pitched
voice.
Oh,
well, he has to fill himself up with air to reinflate himself. And then he's kind of confessing to Eddie, seeing if he remembers him, and then does his like old tune voice, the high-pitched voice that he was talking about with the red eyes that Eddie recognized. So he's the same person who killed his brother way back when.
He's basically a toon, but a toon that's wearing a disguise to look like
suit.
a human. Yeah. So, I mean, even wearing like fake skin prosthetics and stuff like that, because the eyeballs pop out when he blows himself up with the air, and there was plastic eyeballs or something. And yeah, you can see those cartoon animated red eyes behind him. So they get in a big old fight until basically Eddie kind of blows a whole thing into the dip container.
Yeah, they get in a big fight, and then he's like, Doom is using like chainsaw arms and like spring legs. Like he's this cartoon character, this villainous cartoon character who can like morph into all these different forms, and it's really like creepy to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, Eddie eventually spills the dip all over the ground. You see him start to melt to the ground, almost like the Wicked Witch kind from Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, and he was still saying, I'm melting, and making this screaming and all that. Oof.
Yeah. Ugh. But so they clean up the ground by putting like basically spraying it down with water.
Fire hydrants, and dilutes it so that he can release Roger and Jessica.
The steamroller has already started heading towards Toontown. And the moment it gets into it, it's like T-boned by a train and knocked off course.
Yeah.
And the dip's already all out of it anyway, so it's kind of harmless at that point. And then it's almost like a union of the wall being broken down and all the tunes coming out to kind of celebrate that Acme's last wish on his will, which, okay, so to backtrack a tiny bit, Roger had written a note to Jessica. Instead of like killing Acme, like his ultimate revenge, not even revenge, but like his solution to rekindling his relationship with Jessica was to write her a love letter. And so he just has it on this random sheet of paper that was found near Acme's body. We also see earlier that Acme had shot invisible ink on Eddie, and it disappeared the moment that a few moments after he shot it at him. So those things all tied together are all clues to the resolution, where there's also a product called like, what is it, like uninvisible?
Yeah,
like,
it was like invisible, then revisible ink, I think is what it was
yeah,
called.
like revisible ink. They had put some of that on the page, and Eddie has Roger kind of start reciting the poem again, and he starts to read like the last will and testament lines that are starting to reappear there. His ultimate wish was for the Toontown to go to the Toons.
So kind of happy ending there, except that like Roger got all the credit from Jessica for saving the day and being so brave and valiant. It's like, man,
I guess another gain from this, though, was that Eddie regains his sense of humor because Roger hits him with the hand buzzer that had been used throughout the movie. And you see Eddie start to fume like he's going to get mad again. But then he just grabs Roger and like gives him one of those big cartoon kisses.
Yep.
And so Eddie's sense of humor is back.
Yeah.
So all's well that ends well.
And I like how it closes. It closes with, Porky Pig as the scene starts doing that circular black fade, and he says, "That's all, folks" line. But then also Tinkerbell pops through it and like taps it with her wand and makes everything disappear. That was fun.
Yeah. So all in all, a really fun movie. And I really enjoyed the ending of it, too.
Yeah, I did too.
Well, Chris, it looks like it's about time we send our inner kids over to Hollywood with their checkered detective hats, cartoonishly oversized magnifying glasses, and bubble-blowing pipes so they can help solve the mystery of who framed Roger Rabbit.
This movie was really fun, but also kind of scary because that man at the end got squished by a big machine, but he just kept screaming and making noise, just like when my grandpa Simon fell in front of the tractor. I can still hear those screams. But this was really cool, so I give it 4.5 bowls of patty cake cereal out of 5.
This film is a brilliant blend of animation and live action, as well as comedy and drama. The characters are filled to the brim with personality, playing on classic cartoon tropes, while simultaneously presenting an exhilarating mystery to solve along the way. As strange as this mixture may be, the animated characters fit surprisingly well in this world, only adding to the massive charm of the movie. And although this is ostensibly a 1940s period piece, it truly stands the test of time as an animated cultural masterpiece. Overall, I'd give Who Framed Roger Rabbit 5 big bowls of shave and a haircut, 2 bites, cereal out of 5, and could not recommend this movie more. Also, I've narrowed down which yellow cartoon character Judge Doom actually was under that mask, to Tweety Bird, Jake the Dog, or Maggie Simpson. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Maggie since she did shoot Mr. Burns at one time.
To be fair, though, like, doesn't he deserve it? I mean, it's Mr. Burns.
Well, yeah, but he ended up okay, so.
That's too bad. So do you have any final thoughts on Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, I wish that I could unsee this movie from my childhood so I could re-see it as an adult. And I guess to be fair, like seeing it with fresh eyes does make a big difference. But at the same time, the mystery is already kind of solved in my head. So I knew where it was going. However, that didn't make it any less charming of a movie. And it's one of those movies, if there's like a list of, I know there's a list all over the place of like 100 movies you have to see before you die type things. This is definitely one of them. This has to be like one of the top ones. So please just go check it out. Like I cannot stress that enough.
I kind of get what you mean when you say you wish you could unwatch it as a kid, because this was way better than I remember it being when I was a kid. And I think that a lot of that is because there's so much adult humor mixed into it that I'm sure I missed out on a lot of the jokes that made this film so great, along with a lot of references. The idea of seeing the cartoons mixed into this darker noir world, especially when some of the cartoon characters are just so innocent, was just a genius idea. And there's no way, like, I don't think we'll ever get that amount of crossover that took place between these characters that belong to Warner Brothers and Disney, respectively. I don't think that'll ever happen again. Definitely not on that scale. So it's like you said, it's one of the films you need to see before you die. It's a film that definitely deserves a revisit from time to time. So I'm really happy that we watched it. So thanks again very much, Mike Root, for suggesting this for us.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And also, I guess I just should mention that there has been a sequel in planning stages forever. And I think the most recent thing I heard on it was that they don't think it's ever going to get greenlit by Disney because they've really kind of started leaning more towards like family friendly or at least like less risque stuff. So it's not, there's not a climate for it right now that Disney would ever allow that to happen. What I had heard was that it was going to be like it was a sequel, so it was going to come afterwards where it's like Jessica and Roger and some of the adventures they go on after that. And then even though Bob Hoskins at this point has passed away, they're going to reuse his character as a cartoon ghost or something in the movie.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so there were some interesting decisions that they were making there. But at this point, it's probably just really up in the air, and I don't think it's ever going to come to fruition. But I thought that I'd mention it just for prosperity's sake.
I mean, it's an interesting idea, but I just like when they make a movie like this, and especially after so much time passes, I prefer them to just leave it, you know? I think that it kind of solidifies this movie as one of those untouchable things that it can't be improved upon.
Yeah.
It'd be like if they ever made a sequel to Goonies or something. Like I worry you'd lose a little bit of the magic there. So I hope that people can just accept this as it is and, you know, just let the world of this thing be what it is in their imagination.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that it needs a sequel at all. It's got so much rewatchability, even as it is, that you can just enjoy the capsule of time that it came out in. And since it's so timeless, really rewatch it at any point.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, looks like I'm Milk Spies. Now we're on dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. Next week, we'll be watching
Pepper Ann, suggested via Twitter by @WrathOfGiraffes. Forgot about those angry giraffes that are always expressing their wrath against us by giving us Pepper Ann. All right, well, y'all voted on it. Pepper Ann hit the top of the list, so we're doing it. So I don't really know anything about it, so this is on you if it's not good.
In my head, I was mixing Pepper Ann up with As Told by Ginger that we really watched and really enjoyed.
Oh yeah.
So now I don't know what to expect because that was what the cartoon was in my head. So I don't know what Pepper Ann's like.
I apparently will just be very surprised, either for better or for worse.
We'll find out. But once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.